In this video, I am going to walk you through the Getting Things Done section of your Notion pack. So I'm going to be walking you through all of the elements and all of the different pages and how you can best use them. This video might be a little bit longer because there are a few pages to go through, so I'm going to have some timestamps below this video that you can skip to if you just have one page that you're uncertain about. And there is also the more information toggles that you can open that have a very quick overview. This is definitely more of an in-depth overview of these pages. So the first thing that you're going to see on your Getting Things Done page is the quick navigation. This is just to take you through everything very easily. If you need to move between things, you can with a lot of ease. You can also do this in the sidebar, so if you toggle the Getting Things Done, you can see all the subpages. I just find it a bit easier when it's right in front of your face. Then you have your master to-do list, and I believe that everyone needs a master to-do list in some way, shape, or form. This is based on Getting Things Done by David Allen. That's the way that it's organized, and I want to walk you through quickly what all the different contexts mean and how you might want to manage this master to-do list. So the first view that you're going to see is the Show All view. If you click on this little drop down, the Show All view shows absolutely everything in your master to-do list, and that means everything. So this is for everything that's on your mind. So decisions that you need to make, tasks that you need to tackle, things you've been procrastinating, things you need to discuss with people. All of the to-dos go on this master to-do list. The Show All view isn't something that I use that often. I prefer to use a little bit more of a clarified view. Probably the Show All, Know Someday, Perhaps, and Want list is my preference. So the Show All, Know Someday, and Perhaps, or Want list is all of your to-dos excluding someday to-dos, which are to-dos that you want to do eventually, and perhaps to-dos, which are to-dos that you might maybe want to do eventually. And then your want list is essentially your wish list. So those are things that you want to buy eventually when you get there. So because those things are more eventually things, they're not things that you can really act on right now or that you've intentionally chosen to act on right now, I like to keep them out of my views. So I select the Show All, Know Someday, Perhaps, Want list view most often. Then you've got Show All, Know Someday, Perhaps. So you might want to see all the to-dos except for the Someday, Perhaps. You still want your wish list on there. And then there is High Priority Only. This is the other view that I use most commonly. High Priority Only is a list of all of the to-dos that you have ticked as high priority. So if I hop into Show All and I decide that installing Afterpay on my website is a high priority for me, it's something that I really want to focus on very soon, then I'll tick the high priority box. Notice that I don't put a due date on this because my philosophy, and it's a David Allen philosophy that I stole to be fair, is don't put due dates on stuff that don't have an actual due date. There is no due date on putting Afterpay on my website. Therefore, I should not be putting a fake due date against it because otherwise it gets too overwhelming. Your master to-do list is already pretty big. Don't chuck fake due dates on there because otherwise you won't be able to maintain it. So now that I've ticked that high priority tick box, when I go into the High Priority Only view, I'm going to be able to see Install Afterpay on website. This is a really good view for your life dashboard. So if you go onto your life dashboard, you really want to view it by High Priority Only is my suggestion. That way you have all the most important to-dos in front of your face and not all of the to-dos in the world in front of your face, so it's not so overwhelming. Then you have your Home view. This is just a list of things that you can do at home. Your Phone list is a list of people that you need to call most often, so maybe you need to book in a dentist appointment, whatever it may be. You've got your errands, so this is any errands that you need to run. So you're at the shops, you need to pick up an order from Officeworks, and you need to buy an iPhone charger. You have your discuss list, so you need to talk to your partner about something, talk to your family about something, it's going to go in there. You have your computer list, anything you need to do at the computer. If you don't have a computer, that may not be so relevant of a list for you. Everything could sit in phone if you're someone that does everything on your phone. It's whatever works for you. You can definitely change these according to your lifestyle. Then you've got email. So email is technically computer, but sometimes if you're a person that contacts a lot of people, you might want a specific email list. Your work list is what it sounds like. It's anything work related. And if you have a more complex work life, you may want to create more contexts that are a little bit deeper than just work. Then you've got your want list. This is the only place where it really differs. So your want list, these are all columns that are usually hidden. Firstly, you've got your item, then you've got a tick to say, yes, I bought it, and you've got date added. So date added is important because then you can make sure that you're not making impulse purchases. So you can say, yep, I put that on there 2 months ago, I still really want it. It's definitely a worthwhile purchase. You've got your cost, which is important. So then you have your life impact column. You want to think ahead, maybe 3 years time, and think, how much will these silver scissors impact my life in 3 years time? So this just helps you to prioritize your purchases a little bit better. If you have something that is the same cost of $30, for example, but the life impact is like an 8, clearly that's something that you want to prioritize over something that has a life impact as a 1. Then there is a this will improve my life by column. So this was created based on purchases that genuinely have been shown to make you happy. These are purchases that save you time, that increase your time in nature, outside, that reduce frustration, anger, and stress, up connection, create memorable moments, etc., etc. This is another helpful way to help you to prioritize your purchases. So if you have a purchase that just has one label of just making life a little nicer, this purchase will just make life a little nicer, that doesn't mean that you should never buy it. Of course, you're allowed to buy nice things, but if you also have a purchase that has improving my physical health, making me more money, which then creates time, creating more time, giving to others, it has a whole bunch of labels, then you can see clearly that that's the choice that you should prioritize. Then you've got your someday list. So your someday list is things that you definitely want to do someday. So someday you definitely want to start a holistic health center for women. Then you've got your perhaps list. Your perhaps list is things that like maybe you want to do it. So maybe you want to move to Ireland for a year, but you're not 100% sold on it. You still want to capture it because like you never know, but you're not totally sure. Then you have your waiting for list. So your waiting for list is filled with items that you are waiting on someone else to move forward. So for example, we've got get towel racks fixed in the bathroom. In this case, you might be waiting on your estate manager to get back to you about it. So you chuck it in the waiting for list. That way it's still there, but you know that you've taken as much action on it as you can and you're just waiting on someone else to get back to you or do something for you. And then you have your done list. There's nothing in the done list in this example pack. But usually, if you look at the filter, you can see that all to-dos that have a tick in the done box will appear on this list. So the way that you put different to-dos into those views is using the context column. So you just want to select from the context column what context is the most relevant, and once you've selected the correct context, it will show up when you select that particular view. So that is your master to-do list. The next thing that we'll move on to is the weekly reset. Your weekly reset, if you are familiar with my content, you're going to be familiar with the weekly reset, and you're probably not going to need too much of a deep dive into this. Just know that a lot of these to-dos link back to other templates that are within this Notion pack. So a lot of them are around making sure that your master to-do list is up to date so that you're not just having this to-do list, creating it once and then never looking at it again. Using your trigger list and areas of focus, which we'll talk about in a moment. Revisiting your routines, revisiting your monthly and quarterly resets, etc., etc. Your weekly reset is definitely something that you should customize to you. The way that it's set up right now is based on some personal changes that I have made, and obviously you are not me, we do not live the same lives, so you should definitely make this your own. It's also based on David Allen's Getting Things Done weekly review, and that is where the structure for Get Clear and Get Current came from. Down the bottom, there are a bunch of ideas that you might want to use in your weekly reset. So maybe in your weekly reset, you want to revisit your budget because that's something you're really focusing on, or maybe you want to order the groceries online or plan your weekly meals. So you can use those and drag and drop them wherever you would like within your weekly reset. The next thing in your quick navigation that you'll find is your trigger list and areas of focus. Your trigger list is a big list of triggers to help you brain dump. So we've got around the house and then a whole bunch of things that you might need to do around the house. To buy, so do you need to buy stationery? Do you need to buy some presents? Do you need to buy luggage? Got to look into, so maybe you have a podcast that you really wanted to look into. This trigger list will remind you of that. The next section is the areas of focus section, and this is where you do get customizing a little bit. Areas of focus, and I talk about it a little bit in this toggle, Basically, this is a space to map out all of the hats that you wear in life. So some examples are being a cat owner, being a dog mom, a business owner, a gardener, a supervisor, a volunteer, an artist. So you really want to create this section around you and the hats that you wear, and then just pop any responsibilities that sit underneath those hats below those hats. So you'd pop parent as a title, and then you'd pop all of your responsibilities under being a parent. And there are many. That way you have this reference point as a parent. Are you maintaining that area of your life? And you have all the responsibilities listed there so that you can have a little mental check, as well as when you're doing your brain dump, think of anything that comes to mind. The next page is your master to-do list. So this is your original master to-do list. All of the other sections where the master to-do list is presented, so on your life dashboard or in here, are actually just views. They're just links to the original database. So if I click to navigate, it's going to take me right back here. The goals and projects page is a really important page. This is where you keep some information about your life map goals. So your life map goals are your big things that you are focusing on. If you have a life map, which I'm assuming you probably do, this is where you want to store any project plans if those to-dos have moving parts. So if your to-do doesn't have any moving parts, you probably don't really need to create a project plan, but if it does, it is well worth creating one in Notion. As great as paper planning is, when it comes to big projects like launching something, creating a business, redesigning a website, there are often just so many little tasks that you do need something digital where you can drag things around. So in your life map goals section, I do have some stand-in goals just so that you can see what the project plan looks like. As a little tip as well, you can switch between full width and a small width in your pages just by clicking on those three dots and toggling there. I always am a full width person. So when you scroll down in your project plan, you can see all of these really important prompts. A lot of them you might have already answered within your life map, but this just gives you a space where you hold all of that information. Probably the most important part is your actual project plan. So your task list and your timeline. In this, you can view by sub-project. You can view by timeline, so month 1, month 2, month 3. You can view by status, so that's not started, in progress, complete, and then you can also view by priority, so what do you need to work on at first. So this is the most important piece for your project plan, and it's very relevant if you have a goal that has a lot of moving parts. If you want to create a new template because you have a new goal, if you just click on that new icon, that blue new icon, click on the project goal template, and that will automatically create a whole new page for you, and you can start filling out your project plan. Then you have your other projects. So your other projects should not be at all in competition with your life map goals. Your life map goals always need to be the top focus in your life. These might just be little projects that you have on the side. So maybe you want to declutter the kitchen cabinet one day. Maybe you really want to repaint that dresser that you have, etc., etc. These are just small projects that you might have on the go, that you want to have a list of. So you can use this as a trigger list for your master to-do list. So on here, I might have redesign the dresser that I bought from the op shop. Then on my master to-do list every week, I can have a look at this other project section. I can be like, okay, what do I need to do to move that forward? Maybe I need to buy the spray paint or buy the sander, etc., etc. So really this other projects list, it acts as a trigger list for your master to-do list, and it should never have anything on it that is wild, audacious, or even too effortful, really, that takes your focus away from those life map goals. The next page in your pack is your monthly and quarterly resets. So this, once again, is nothing fancy. It's very similar to the weekly reset. This is a space where you can revisit every month and every quarter to make sure that your life is feeling clarified, to make sure that it's feeling refreshed. So it does reference a lot of items within this Notion pack, as well as some things within the life map. So completing a life map monthly reset, as well as updating the task lists and timelines in the goals and projects section, clarifying and updating your master to-do list, then scheduling in activities, appointments, etc. In your quarterly, you have other important things like revisiting your bigger vision, scheduling in a declutter, deep clean day. Then you have your other someday lists. So in your master to-do list, you had your someday list, but you might want more specific someday lists. And for me, I prefer them to be separated because of their nature. So for example, my reading list, I don't want that sitting in my master to-do list. That's just way too much. So my reading list is definitely separate. When you click into here, you're going to see two galleries, the non-fiction gallery and the fiction. And this is a list of books that you eventually want to read. Also, you have the ability to toggle down to the books that you've already read. And in your commonplace book, which is another section of your LifeMap Notion pack, you will be able to see all of your book notes that you've taken as well, and it will be linked to this database. So it's all interlinked, which is good fun. So if I go into here, I will quickly show you how to add another book. There's not too much to it, but it's more putting in that image that I want to walk you through. So if I click on the new button, I'm just going to type in the 7 Habits Highly Effective People. So if I right click the book cover on Amazon, this is what I do. You can find the book cover anywhere. You're just trying to find an image address. You're clicking copy image address, clicking in that book cover field, and then you want to click on embed link and paste that link, and then click embed. And it's going to load. The rest of these fields, I think that you'll be able to fill out on your own. We have author, topic and genre. You have a why you want to read this book. This is there because often I get book suggestions and I get excited and I'm like, I definitely want to read that. And then I look back later and I'm like, I don't remember why I wanted to read that. So put in there, so-and-so recommended this to me, or apparently it's a really good book about blah, 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 just so you can remind yourself later if you're a bit like me. An Amazon link for when you might want to buy it. And then once you've finished, you want to change the status to read. That will affect your views. So then that book will shuffle over into the read view. And then you want to pop in a date finished just for your reference. So you might want to go back later and be like, oh, I know I finished that book around there, but I can't remember what it's called. So that will be helpful in that case. And then you have your book notes checkbox. So tick this when you have book notes associated with a book. So tick that box and then it will appear in your commonplace book and you can see all those notes that you've taken. When it comes to book notes, I've also created a template for you. If you click on new book, it will give you my book notes template. Once again, take this and make it your own. This is how I like to approach reading books, by starting with a why. This is my purpose. This is what I'm trying to get out of it. Writing a little book summary to jog your memory. I like to have my highlights. So if there's any quotes or any particular things that stuck out to me within the book, and then a chapter by chapter overview. That could be too in-depth for you. You might not want to do that. It's entirely up to you. You could just have this as a notes section, so all the notes that you took. And then at the bottom, there's actionable takeaways. So these are all of the actions that you want to take as a result of this book. So use that book notes template to populate book notes for the new books that you read. You can also edit that book notes template. If you click on the drop down for the new, you go to the new book, and then you click on those 3 dots, click edit. Then you'll be able to customize this book notes template to yourself and change it however you'd like. And then when you load that book notes template, it'll appear as whatever the changes that you've made. So fiction isn't particularly fancy. I don't have any book notes associated with fiction books. It's pretty simple. It's read and to read. Then you have your birthday list. This is absolutely nothing complicated because I don't think it needs to be. You might have more important people in your life than me, so you might want to add a few more important people to this list. Basically, you're just writing down someone's name, and then you're writing down birthday present ideas. Whenever they say anything that they want throughout the year, just make sure to write it down in your birthday list. That way you're not stumped for ideas when their birthday comes around. The next list you have is also not very complicated. It is your experiences to create list. Your experiences to create list, I see as almost your master experiences list. So you want to write down your experience, tick it when you've gone on it, and then put any notes for things that you might want to remember when you get around to that experience. So in your life map daily, you actually set experiences that you want to plan into the next 13 weeks. The way I would do that with this experiences list is use this as a master list. All of the experiences that you want to do, chuck them in this list. And then when you're getting around to filling out that experiences list in your notebook, you want to look to this list and pick the experiences you're the most excited about to plan into the next 13 weeks. That way, it's not just this big master to-do list. It's this cultivated, yep, this is what I want to do in the next 13 weeks. And that is your Getting Things Done pack. This is going to be referenced quite a lot, particularly in your life dashboard templates if you haven't visited them yet. This is very much about managing and planning your life, having an organized mind. You may not want to use all of the functions within the Getting Things Done Notion pack. Maybe you just want to use the master list and the trigger list. That's 100% okay. I would still recommend keeping these templates available just in case you want to add them into your routines as you move forward. But you're going to get so much out of this even if you just implement one aspect of it.